The 2017.1 edition of ReSharper C++ is out. Let's take a quick tour of what's new. The new Visual Studio 2017 is now fully supported. If you've been using it in 2016.3, you may have had to disable faster project load. If so, you'll be pleased to know you can now re-enable that. One of the nice new features in Visual Studio is the ability to work with CMake projects just by opening a folder that has a CMake list.txt file in it. Here I have a checkout of the Catch self-test project, which is CMake based. If we open that, we just need to wait a moment for the CMake caches to populate, and now we can select the startup project. So we'll go with the self-test project, and now we can build the solution. Now so far this has all been Visual Studio, but you'll see at the end of the output here that the executable has been written to this directory by default. Well, we're going to copy that path to the clipboard, because we'll need to supply it to ReSharper C++ so we can run the tests. To do that, we go to ReSharper Options and the new C++ Tests page, and we'll drop it in here as the command to run. Because this path is specific to this project, we should use save to here, and save it either for yourself or for all users. So now we've done that one-time setup, we can run our tests at any time using the normal shortcuts or menus. So now let's imagine we're writing a person class. We have a simple implementation up here. In our test code, we know we want to do something with this type. So let's start with that type name. In the last release, we introduced postfix templates, which gave us completions of things we can do to an expression. Well, we've added even more in this release. Here's 3 of them now. Let's go with make unique for this one. Make unique and make shared are great, and we should use them most of the time, but they're usually a bit more verbose to type out. But with postfix completions, they're not only now far less typing, but you get to focus on the type first. But we're not done yet. There's no point in allocating an object if we don't do anything with it. In this case, we'll want to use it to initialize a variable. And now, without missing a beat, we can do that from right here too, with another postfix template, var. And we get presented with a choice of type to declare it as, with auto being the sensible default. And of course we can change the name, but it's given us a good suggestion and some good alternatives. So now we have a pointer, which we can get to with get. And you'll see we can apply casts using postfix templates too. If this had been a polymorphic class, we would see dynamic cast here too, but it's smart enough to hide it. Similar with const cast. So let's use reinterpret cast here, which is deliberately noisy and usually awkward to type, and for good reason. But if you really need it, it's now a lot easier. There's a whole list of new postfix templates, and in fact, here is the whole list of new templates. Now, the current STL algorithms are very powerful and generic, but it does mean having to tediously write calls to begin and end iterators. Well, notice we now get an additional completion, another postfix template, begEnd, which expands to the begin-end pair. Code cleanup options have been greatly expanded for C++, with most enabled by default. If you create a custom cleanup profile, you can also enable additional actions, including update file header. To use this one, you'll need to have file header text set, which you can do here. For example, you might want to set it to a standard license or copyright text. And now when you invoke the code cleanup action, it will add or replace the comment block at the top of the file with the one you set up. Of course, you can set up a cleanup action that only updates the file header too, and that can be really useful if you're updating out-of-date copyright dates or changing licenses quickly across files. Well, the oldest cleanup action is reformat, and the formatting options have been expanded too now, especially for indentation. By default, tabs and indent settings are taken from Visual Studio, but you can override those here if you prefer. And under indentation and alignment, you have more options controlling indentation in this new section. As always, you can preview the effects of any change in the pane at the bottom. Control flow inspections have been further improved. For example, you can now catch uninitialized variables as fields on an object. We also detect when a separate declaration and assignment can be joined together, and of course offer a quick fix for it. Well, there's plenty we haven't covered, but of particular note are some important advances in performance. Memory usage is much improved, and reindexing shouldn't trigger as often as previously. So if you've run into issues with these before, do give this another go and let us know how it goes. Well, that's all for this time. Thanks for listening. You can go to the site for more information, as well as a 30-day free trial.